protests in India's capital New Delhi earlier this week over a government hike in fuel and cooking gas prices. India imports 80% of its oil needs, and the cost of crude has risen after Russia invaded Ukraine. It's the latest in a string of protests against fuel prices by the youth wing of India's opposition Congress Party. The prices threaten to add to already high inflation and jeopardize India's economic recovery from the pandemic. There are reports of some Indians already cutting down on fried food and vegetables. But despite these knock-on effects, 5 weeks on, the Indian government has still not condemned the Russian invasion. New Delhi has been walking a fine line between the West and Moscow, which is India's main defence supplier. It has relied on Russia for military and international political support for decades. On the day of the invasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, appealed for an immediate cessation of violence. But over the past few weeks, India has abstained 5 times at the United Nations from condemning Russia's invasion. Many Indians support their government's stance, including this doctor who took part in a demonstration 2 days after the invasion, calling for the safe return of Indian students trapped in Ukraine.
I think somewhere it is very right. I know our Indians are stuck in Ukraine and people would be thinking that they should have supported Ukraine. But I must say that Russia has always supported India, and I think going against Russia would have been totally wrong for the future and even for now.
But there are those who disagree, like this 25-year-old student.
I don't think it's the right thing at all, because war anywhere has to be condemned. War by anybody has to be condemned, and if India is trying to make a mark in the world politics, India cannot get away with abstaining against war.
But India, like China, has resisted Western pressure to take a stronger stand against the invasion and continues to buy Russian oil and other goods. Early this week, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov emphasized Moscow's growing ties with the Asian giants as the war in Ukraine rages.
С Китаем у нас отношения лучшие за всю историю их существования. У нас развивается особо привилегированное стратегическое партнерство с Индией.
Lavrov was in China on Wednesday before traveling to India. It is these two distinct relations with Moscow that have officials in Delhi closely watching developments in Ukraine. India has several disputes with China, and 2 years ago armed conflict broke out between them over a border dispute. If Moscow ends up substantially weaker after its invasion of Ukraine, there are fears it could become more dependent on China, and this would be unsettling for India. Chen and Louise for TaiwanPlus.